Good afternoon. My name is Kat Brooks. I am the founder of the Anti-Police Terror Project. We are here today on behalf of Yuvette Henderson. Yuvette Henderson was a 38-year-old mother and grandmother who was gunned down by the Emeryville Police Department in broad daylight with an AR-15. Since the time of Yuvette's murder, there's been conflicting stories from the police department, from the communities immediately following her murder. We went out and did a people's investigation and heard varying, wildly different accounts of what happened to her. What we do know is that within a matter of seconds of the police arriving onto the scene with Yuvette, she was dead. What we do know is that Yuvette suffered an assault inside of Home Depot so horrible that an ambulance had to be called for her head injury. An ambulance she never saw. She never saw paramedics until she was dead. What we do know is that it took 8 months for us to receive the coroner's report. And we only received the coroner's report because the family and the community went to the Emeryville City Council repeatedly, and then when we threatened to actually go to the coroner's office, they decided they would rather give us the coroner's report. What we do know is that Yuvette has been consistently demonized in the media. They say that she had a gun. They say that she was shoplifting. But when we get to a point in this country where we say it is okay to gun down people without the right to judge and jury, we're entering into a very scary time in America, and in fact that time is already here, right? It is irrelevant. We know that a week prior, a white man not only pointed a gun at police officers, but fired shots, and they talked him down, and he went to jail alive. We know that when you look at that data across the country, when white people are engaged in crimes or white people have weapons, be that a gun, a knife, or whatever, that they are more likely to get to go to jail and get to go to a jury before their peers. But if you are black or brown or poor in this country, you do not have that opportunity. So we are here today to continue our demand for justice for Yuvette. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our legal counsel, Dan Siegel.
Thanks, Kat. Thank you all for being here. I want to announce that we have filed a lawsuit this morning against the City of Emeryville and officers Michelle Shepard and Warren Williams for their role in carrying out the extrajudicial execution of Yuvette Henderson. The evidence that we have gathered so far indicates that the officers were absolutely under no threat at all at the time they fired at Ms. Henderson. They hit her at least 3 times. None of the shots were in the front of her body. They were in her back and in her side. They shot her to death. There, again, no evidence that any of them were at risk because of any action that she took. So the lawsuit is filed today on behalf of Ms. Henderson's minor children who seek damages for her wrongful death and violation of her constitutional rights. We are also seeking damages on behalf of her estate for the harm that she suffered prior to her death. This case represents now one of dozens that are being filed across the country to take on police departments for their wrongful killing, executions, and brutality addressed towards African American people in this country. We are absolutely committed to continue this campaign, to take direct action, to take legal action in order to vindicate the rights of police victims and to force law enforcement to stop these policies. We will have other speakers today, and then we'll be prepared to answer your questions about the case. We also have copies of the complaint we filed this morning for the media. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. As I mentioned, Yuvette Henderson was a mother, she was a grandmother, she was a sister, she was a friend, she was a community member, and those are the reasons, among many, that we have come together to stand in unity behind her. And so I want to introduce one of our community partners, Carol Fife with the Oakland Alliance.
Good afternoon. I want to highlight the fact that last night we had a State of the City address by our mayor. And I want to alert everyone that the state of the city is not all roses, right? There are workers here, there are people of color, there are people that are struggling in the city of Oakland. And to say that Black Lives Matter projected on a screen is a green dot is just words. We need to demand more. We need to demand that all citizens of the city of Oakland have the right to work, live, and enjoy our city just as with everyone else. We all have the right to live here, we all have the right to work here for a decent wage, and we all have the right to express ourselves in this city in a way that we feel safe. And safety is not having dozens of more police on the streets by the end of October. Safety means being free from poverty. Safety means having a decent education. There's a much broader definition of safety that we feel is necessary in the city of Oakland, and we are ready to hold our elected officials and our citizens are all joining together to make sure that we can hold our elected officials accountable. So on November 7th, the Oakland Alliance is prepared to hold an all-city meeting where we're coming together to determine what's the best way to do that. How do we determine what is progressive and what the needs of our citizens are in a truly equitable way? So November 7th is important. We need to demand more. Thank you.
And finally, we're going to close out with Yuvette's brother, Jameson, and sister, Antoinette.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. My name is Antoinette Jenkins. I'm Yuvette's only sister, older sister, mother, friend, all of the above. I don't know if any of you have any type of experiences in life for how it feels to not have lost someone, but for someone to pass on in the way that she did. Shoplifting does not consist of shooting. It consists of detaining, maybe closed confinement in a jail cell. We would rather that than to lose our loved ones behind a police brutality, law enforcement, even a street criminal taking you upon a robbery, which she did not do, just because she had a gun, but she never surrendered with a gun. Okay? Yes, it hurts. It's very painful. It never ends, and it's a never-ending story. And for all of those across the United States, even within my presence right now, if you can just find somewhere in your hearts, just sleep on it, think about it a couple of minutes, and let us know that you have some justice somewhere. There's nothing that worse than say, speak, express for what has went on. We have 2 children with 4 others out there that Yuvette left behind, let alone with 1 sister and 1 brother who loves her so dearly, and not just for Yuvette, for all the others with the police brutality. I don't know how much more I can say or how much more to say, because it's a whole lot more than you can ever think. That we're not asking for anything, nothing, except for justice with peace. We're not asking for sympathy and love. We're just asking for justice and peace. Because we wouldn't have never done it to you. Okay? With that, I close, and my brother can continue on.
I'm Jameson Robinson, younger brother of Yuvette Henderson. Can y'all hear me? Am I speaking loud enough? And basically, this has been a long life experience journey that I have to go through every day. I mean, I know people hear about it on the news or people see it on Facebook, but you know what I'm saying, I don't have to not only see it, I have to live with it and feel it, that my sister is actually not here. You know, and I think about it every single day, and the way I would have never dreamed in a million years of her leaving this earth the way she actually left. But I'm here with all my people to fight for justice. And I mean, my older sister basically said everything that I really wanted to say, because you know, she feels the same way I feel. Because, you know what I'm saying, that Yuvette was not only my sister, she also raised me. When our mother passed, she took on the responsibility of the mother and raised me. So she's not just a sister, she's a mother. And basically, I'm here to fight for justice, and hopefully everything will turn out okay, I guess. Sorry y'all, I'm kind of choking up and everything, but this is it's hard for me to speak and stuff like this because it's not only just her, it's constantly, every day, it's something different, but the police doing something. I mean, if that was the image of a police officer is now, is to do something brutal and just unhuman to civilians, let alone armed or not unarmed, but they're supposed to be in a professional business. They should be able to react a certain way, man. But I'm gonna close with that though. Thank you guys for coming and listening to me, and justice for Yvette.
We'll take questions at this time.
Can you talk about what you uncovered in your investigation?
Well, frankly, what we've uncovered in our investigation is not as much as we would like to uncover because of the recalcitrance of the Emeryville Police Department and the Alameda County Coroner to provide us with the information we need to prepare for trial in this case. We would have much preferred, almost 9 months after the fact, to have the police report, the investigation of the homicide of Yuvette Henderson prior to filing our complaint. But for reasons which I believe they need to explain, the city of Emeryville and the city of Oakland are dragging their feet on the investigation and have just recently provided us or allowed us to have the coroner's report. We still don't have the police report. What we know is that there was an incident inside the store where a security guard accused Miss Henderson of shoplifting. We're not sure exactly what. That she went outside the store, fell, hurt herself to the point where an ambulance was called to take her for medical care, but before the ambulance arrived, she started to walk away, walked about 2 blocks to a point in front of the Home Depot store on Hollis Street. When the 2 officers arrived, one of them with a pistol and the other with an AR-15 assault rifle, and as was said earlier, within seconds she was shot dead. At least 3 bullets hit her, 2 in the side and 1 in the back. That's basically what we know so far. The details remain to be developed. There are witnesses who say that she was not acting in any way that was dangerous or provocative, was simply attempting to get herself away from the scene. But again, there are a lot of witnesses to identify and to interview between now and the day we go to trial.
The coroner's report says that those bullet wounds were, one was in the back, one was, is that what the coroner reports?
1 bullet hit her at the right side of her head, below her ear. The second bullet hit her in the upper part of her right arm and passed from there into her chest in the front, and the third bullet hit her squarely in the back.
Was one of those police officers a lady?
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah,
where
the
you're gonna figure it out, right there.
2 officers involved were Michelle Shepard
Right.
and Warren Williams.
Did you say she didn't have a gun?
We don't know whether she had a gun. There's a claim that she had a gun, but there is no claim that she pointed the gun or attempted to use a gun to threaten the officers.
You haven't seen any videos, surveillance videos?
We have not. There was some. You want to speak to?
I just
what
want to
we've
speak to
seen?
the video
Okay.
question. So I do think it's important to note that after intense community pressure, at least 2 demonstrations, that the Oakland Police Department did relent and allow myself along with 2 of the family members to view videos. The problem with that, though, is that it excluded the 2 most important moments in this incident. It excluded her assault inside of Home Depot, and it also excluded the actual execution of Yuvette Henderson under the claim that at this brand new state-of-the-art storage facility that day, their video cameras just happened to be down.
Did she have a gun in those prior moments? Or
You can't tell.
Do you know
damages you're requesting from the city of Emeryville and the opposite?
Okay. So when you file a lawsuit like this, the complaint, again, which we have copies of for you, sets forth in general the type of damages that are available to a person in this situation. We're talking about economic damages representing her lost income and support of her children over the course of her lifetime. We're talking about general damages for what's called pain and suffering, and we're talking potentially against the officers punitive damages because of their behavior in shooting a defenseless person without cause.
Has the Emeryville Police Department shared with you any information about their investigation where the 2 officers who got the down?
We have not. As I mentioned earlier, this case represents, in my experience, a rather monumental level of foot dragging by the police departments involved. The Oakland Police Department actually has primary responsibility for performing the homicide investigation. Again, this started 9 months ago. We still don't have it. It's hard to understand what's taking them. There's also internal investigations, which the City of Emeryville presumably did. Police departments do use of force investigations where they attempt to determine whether policies were followed, and there's also potential disciplinary investigations involving the 2 officers. We're looking forward to getting them. Now that we have a lawsuit filed, they will be required to turn these things over.
Are the 2 officers on duty, do you know?
As far as I know. We filed today. We filed right here in this federal courthouse. I expect that within a couple of days we'll know the name of the judge who has been assigned to the case. Under the federal procedures, a deadline will be set for each side to voluntarily, cooperatively turn over to the other information it has regarding the names and contact information of witnesses and documents which have been prepared. Once we do that, the judge will give each side a period of perhaps 6 months to obtain information through discovery procedures. We'll be issuing subpoenas and requests to turn over documents and then deposing the officers and others involved in the investigation.
Were you able to uncover anything surrounding the allegations that she tried to carjack people?
We have nothing more than the bare allegations that that's what she attempted to do.
And she fell outside the Home Depot store? Because you said she walked 2 blocks.
Right, she walked 2 blocks. She fell outside the store where she was initially.
Was that Home Depot?
Yeah, and then she walked to, he went to the Extra Space storage. She was murdered out
Right.
front.
I'm
Extra Space
sorry,
storage.
that's
where the-
right. She fell outside the Home Depot and was shot to death outside the Extra Space
And
storage.
fell as a result of being assaulted by the security guard.
And there's also a DA's investigation that's not finished yet too, right?
Right.
Have you been trying to work with them as well?
Well, we know that the DA's investigation will lead to a conclusion that the officers acted appropriately. That's the standard result of investigations carried out by the Alameda County District Attorney, unless someone has actual photographs of the officers engaged in misconduct. Apparently, it's the policy of Nancy O'Malley to forego any attempt at prosecution.
I'd like to say that the lady officer, from a couple people I heard that she broke down when she fired off, and she lost all her composure when she shot. So I believe that's where it really lays at right there. But that lady officer, she just jumped the gun.
So if there's Great. If there's no other questions, this will conclude the press conference. Thank you so much for coming.
Can we have your name and how to spell it?
Sure.
And the spelling of the family members' names?
I am Kat Brooks, CATBROOKS.
Jameson Robinson. I'm the brother of Jameson, JAMISON ROBINSON.
Antoinette Jenkins, ANTRINETTE, Jenkins, JENKINS.
And thank you to all the committee members that came out today. We appreciate you.
Justice for Yuvette.
Justice for Yuvette.
Anybody would like a copy of that?
Frank, did you